Pay the cost to be the boss. I can't wait to hear Dustin Poirier's walkout song one last time when the legend himself makes his last walk against another legend, Max Holloway. That fight just got announced. Dustin Poirier against Max Holloway for the BMF belt. All about it. Why Dustin Poirier took that fight. What is the upside for him? Why the UFC even made that fight for the belt in this video? Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA. So when you saw the fight announcement between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, you probably in the first thought just thought that like, hey, that's a fun fight. That's a cool fight for the fans. It's a legend. Dustin Poirier, one of the legends, makes sense. But if you think deeper about it,
very deep,
you start to think, does it really make sense? What is the A side here for Dustin Poirier? Because for Max Holloway, I understand it completely. Max Holloway lost 2 times against Dustin Poirier. He wants to get that win back. That's his last chance to get that win back, that loss back, sorry. That's his last chance to get that loss back because after that, Poirier will be retired. But for Poirier, why does he want to beat Holloway for a 3rd time? He beat Holloway in his UFC debut, in Holloway's UFC debut, submitted him as far as I remember, then beat him for the interim lightweight championship, where Holloway made a short notice bulk up to fight Dustin for the interim belt. And now he's fighting him as a real 155er because Holloway is making a real weight uplift now, as he did against Gaethje when he fought Gaethje for the BMF, right? And yeah, Max Holloway is the reigning, defending, if you can even say that, BMF champion.
The best is blessed, baby. Come see me.
So I see that as the only reason why why Dustin took that fight. Because if the BMF belt is not on the line, there's nothing on the line in this fight for Dustin Poirier. Of course, Max Holloway is a legend and he wants his last fight to be against a legend, but why should I fight a guy that I beat 2 times already just to risk to get off, end my career on a loss against a guy that I beat 2 times already? That was good for my legacy. But since the BMF belt is on the line, I can see why Poirier took that fight because he will never win a undisputed UFC belt, right? And that's another free chance in a way to get a belt. That's, you know what I mean? It's not a prestigious belt, but it's still a belt. It's still a belt that you will be able to put on the wall at home, and it's still a belt that you want because he fought for it before and he lost against Gaethje, right? He fought Gaethje for the BMF belt, got knocked out, and it's another chance to get that belt that he did not manage to get. So I understand why Poirier took that fight under the premise that Holloway will put the BMF belt on the line. The only thing that I'm wondering is the UFC side, because I think the UFC has a plan here. I don't think they just randomly said, hey, let's make Dustin Poirier against Max Holloway for the BMF belt, because the UFC never lets you fight for a belt normally when you say that's your last fight. Because the worst thing that can happen for the UFC, if we just talk about a normal belt, right, undisputed belt, is that you do the GSP thing. That's why Dana hated GSP when he fought Bisping, won the belt, and then just, I will retire now, I will not fight anymore. Dana hated that because that's the worst thing for an organization. If the guy who just beat your champion and is now the new champion retires.
That's f***ing illegal.
And then you debate the belt is just vacant again. That's the worst thing that can happen for an organization. But I could see a plan for the UFC that they probably, there's 2 plans that they could have. Plan number 1 is that they want to change the division of the BMF belt, because don't forget the BMF belt used to be 170, now it's a 155, and maybe they have some kind of idea like, hey, if Poirier beats Holloway, he beat him 2 times already, so you could think, and my prediction will still come before that fight, but you could think, hey, the chances are there that Poirier beats him again, and when he retires with that belt, the belt is vacant again in a way, and you could put it on like they did last time when it got vacant at welterweight when Jorge Masvidal retired. They could switch divisions with the belt again, so the belt would be kind of free again to assign to a certain fighter in a certain division. You know what I mean? That would sell good. So I see that idea, and the idea number 2 that I think is very likely as well is that they want to retire the belt. Because even though the BMF belt is always a kind of plan B option for the UFC when all the real champions can't make a pay-per-view date and they still need a big fight favorably for the belt, right? They can still put on the BMF belt. It's still kind of a belt for the pay-per-view to save it, right? But I could see that they maybe want to retire it because it really lost the meaning. Like, it was cool with Nate and Jorge, but is the BMF belt really worth something these days? I mean, yeah, the Holloway win against Gaethje was just perfect for the belt, but still, I would not be surprised if they say, hey, look, this belt is just, it lost its meaning. It's just, we don't need that stuff anymore. If Poirier wins, we can just retire the belt. Poirier will forever be the BMF champion and leave it out. You know what I mean? But hey, I don't know. I don't know about for the UFC. I don't know what their official plan is, but those are the only 2 options that come to my mind. And of course, if they still have option number 3, that if Holloway wins, they can just keep the belt. You know what I mean? So they don't really lose anything with that. If it would be an undisputed belt, they would have the risk that they would lose it all if Poirier wins and retires. But since it's the BMF belt, they have these 2 options if Poirier then wins it and retires, right? So those are my thoughts about why this fight came to fruition. All those questions that you might have in your head answered. What is your opinion on this whole thing? Write it in the comments, you guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate that a lot. Check out my merch, bloodshop.net, official best MMA merch in the business with worldwide free shipping with the code FREE if you enter that checkout. Check it out, you guys. Link is in the bio. Stay bloody, and until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.